With that in mind, let's bring in a guy who hangs out at hospitals a lot, because this isn't his primary means of income, although it is another means. Blaine Fowler is here. Hi, Blaine.
I like that. It is another means.
Yes, it is.
So, although when we have a Saturday like Dave and I had,
Yeah.
I literally walked out of the Marriott Center and I turned to Dave and I go, they do not pay us enough for that crap. That was a lot of work. That was a lot of work, you guys. Saturday.
You're telling me. Yeah.
Two
you're
wins.
all of us.
2 wins. You know, the team's playing great. Keeps your energy up. You know, you're feeling like, okay, I can do a 7 hours on the air deal. That's not a hard thing to do. 7 hours of what we watched and had to talk about. I thought, man, I would rather just stab myself in the eyes with some pins or something.
Don't pull a McMahon.
That seems
cool.
A bit much.
I know. Well,
yesterday it was Trevor talking
then
about bats and receivers in a closet.
I know. And then
it's Blaine.
Some of the
'80s guys.
Then I thought about it. And I'm like, it's a game. It's a game, and I was okay.
But it's more to a game. To the BYU fan base.
I know.
This has been the most unique year in modern times, and now we have, BYU and Hawaii this week. And our Twitter question is this: what does Saturday's game at Hawaii mean for BYU football?
I think it's important because it takes them into the offseason with some answers if they can do some things well. And I think Joe Critchlow needs to play well this week. Everybody thought, hey, you know what? Whether Tanner comes back healthy or not next year, we've got to have depth at that position. And I think the previous week, everybody's like, yeah, we found the guy. Joe might be the guy.
At AP Joe Fowler.
Yeah, he had a whole website.
Hardly knew you, by the way.
And then he really struggled. So everybody's like, whoa, what just happened? And so now he has a chance to learn about a lot of things that UMass did to him that UNLV didn't do in terms of scheme and disguising things and the way they had an excellent game plan against a freshman quarterback and confused the heck out of him and confused the defensive front. They loaded up and said, you are not going to run it. And if you're going to beat us, your freshman quarterback is going to have to make split-second decisions against blitz packages, and he'd have to get the ball out, and he's going to have to be accurate, and your receivers are going to have to make plays. And early in the game, they didn't. They didn't step up. When a team plays that way against you, you have to say, that is not happening. You are not going to play that high-risk defense against us because you will pay. We're going to seam a couple of runs. We're going to go 70 yards for a touchdown. We're going to throw a ball over the top. We're going to get a touchdown, and you will back off. That's the mentality you have to have against that style of defense. And everybody's like, why did Ty throw it 3 times in the first drive? Because they double-dog dared him to, and all he needed to do was complete one of those for them to go, But we were so ineffective against that they just kind of stayed with that style all game long. We never could get him to back off.
It's hard to resist a double dog dare. Let's be honest.
I know they double dog dared.
Then if they go triple dog dare, then
they double dog dared, and we couldn't even live up to the double. We couldn't even beat the double dog dare.
Am I crazy? I brought this up on post game. Stop it. Let me finish.
He is crazy.
No.
Can we agree he's crazy?
No,
he's crazy.
The first offensive possession that was a PI, not called. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If that's called, am I nuts to think, that if that's called and they move the chain right out of the gate, that could have started something or at least avoided the 3 and out or the I don't know, giving them confidence or something that they moved the ball.
Yeah, and this team's so fragile right now offensively that any good early would have helped. The problem is if you're UNLV, I'm not UNLV. If you're UMass or you're Hawaii this week, you're now going to say, okay, this is the game plan, and we're not going to give up on that game plan if they get one ball over the top. They're going to have to show us that they can do this a couple of times, and they do it a couple of times, we'll probably back off. Or if we get too aggressive up front and they hit a seam, when you're bringing backers and running twists, sometimes you're just running the ball and you hit a seam. And then there's no second level, and now you got a running back running downhill one-on-one on a free safety who's not going to make the tackle if he's a decent running back. And now you run 70 yards for a touchdown. So you get a couple of plays, and teams will go, okay, we're going to have to pick and choose our blitz package now. We can't kind of do what we wanted to do. But they challenged BYU to do that. It was a good game plan. If you're playing a freshman quarterback, and we talked to Coach Whipple early in the week, he told us this is what we're going to do. Of course, we didn't tell BYU that because we keep confidences, but he said this is what we have to come out and do. This is what you do against a young quarterback. And I was actually surprised the week before that UNLV stayed really vanilla. and didn't really challenge them. They lined up in what they were going to run. They played basic coverages. They made Joe's reads really easy for him. And because they didn't load up the box, they allowed BYU to manhandle them at the line of scrimmage and run the football. So what happens in Hawaii now? Well, to do what UMass did, you have to have really solid corners, which they do. When we were talking to BYU's offensive coaches, they were saying, like, our matchups are good inside, but their corners are really good, like maybe as good as we've seen all year. The two guys are really athletic and really good. And now I watch them in person. I'm going, man, those corners are really good. You saw them making play after play. I was really impressed with those corners. I don't think Hawaii has the corners to do what UMass just did. And so they can try that, but I think BYU has a higher probability if they run that, like a steady diet of it, the BYU gets more big plays in the pass game, and then if you get some in the pass game, then the run game opens up. So I just don't know that Hawaii has the horses, because to run that type of package, you have to be really confident that your corners can do that. And they may not even, they may look at their own corners and go, maybe we can't do a steady diet. I think Whipple felt like, we've got really good corners. Let's do this. Let's do this.
BYU couldn't own the line of scrimmage against UMass. I thought they were running the ball well enough. Obviously situational, run it more. Well, when it's 3rd and 6 and long, you're going to pass it or whatever, Why didn't BYU run the ball more, in your opinion? Because
they should have.
It was 4.6 a pop with Canada and Hall.
They should have run it more. And I think they looked, you look at what the fronts that they were running, you're going, okay, they have more people in the box than we can block. So they're daring us to throw it, so we're going to throw it. But at some point you have to go, but we got a freshman quarterback, so we do need to pound. I mean, so think Stanford for a minute. Stanford, everybody puts 8 in the box against Stanford, because Stanford, for how many years since Jim Harbaugh was there, now David Shaw's there, and continues the same tradition. It's like, no, we're going to maul you at the line of scrimmage, and we're going to run the football at you. So Bryce Love this year. So this is another very good football team, right? He gets 1 yard. He gets 1 yard. He gets 1 yard. They punt. They play solid defense. He comes back. He gets 1 yard. He gets 1 yard. And then he runs 75 yards for a touchdown. And then Bryce Love's averaging, what is that, a carry?
Yeah.
He's got 6 carries for 80
yards.
yards.
Yeah, and it's
for 80 yards. Yeah. And you're going, oh, he's averaging 11 yards a carry. Well, he had a bunch of 1 yard runs. But they kept pounding it, because these teams are putting so many people in the box that eventually he gets to see him and he goes. Now, BYU doesn't have Bryce Love. I mean, he's ridiculous. He's a Heisman Trophy candidate. But that kind of concept has to be there, that you run the ball early and you may not have as much success, but if you're really good up front and you have solid running backs, the yards per carry average over time increase. And they increase because you pop a couple of big plays. And that's one of the things we've been lacking this year, some big plays in the run game. Although when KJ's in there, we seem to get more of them.
75-yarders.
Right.
Wally has a fifth.
Right, so you have a few of those.
Yarder.
And then where you're getting 1 and 2 yards per carry in the first quarter and playing field position is still 0-0. And the 3rd and 4th, you start to wear these teams down. And now you are getting 5 yards a carry. Like, you're literally getting 5 yards a carry. It's not just because you're popping one and you're still in the ball game. So they could have been more patient in the run game. The defensive sets they were seeing would dictate throw. So you have to be really disciplined to think, even though maybe we've got to continue to make these guys be honest and hope we can pop one here, and you're going to mix pass and run in. But there were plays that needed to be made in the pass game. A couple missed throws, a couple bad reads, and then a couple plays that our receivers needed to catch. The one that everybody keeps asking me about, should Bushman have caught that? Yeah, it's hard to get on a kid that's been as amazing as he's been, but that's a ball you catch, and that's a game-changing catch. That's Critchlow improvising and throwing. That's a game-changing catch.
20 would have been a huge.
4th and 20 for a touchdown. And now it's a one-score game, and you have an unbelievable amount of momentum.
Time.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and that's just the last one that we remember, but there were a couple others that should have been caught during the course of that game. When you're in a ball game, you're struggling on offense, there's 2 or 3 plays in a game that if somebody comes up with a huge play, you have a chance to win the game. If they don't, you don't. And that was the story.
Coach Satake has mentioned a couple of times throughout the year, and then said it again yesterday, that he knows what needs to change. What do you think some of those things are?
They have to get consistency at the quarterback position. And you can't go into a season going, you know what, we're going to use 5 guys. That's just rotten bad luck. But they also, with their top guys, have to be more consistent. They have to be more consistent with proper reads. The ball has to come out on time, and it has to go into the right spots. And maybe the most talented guy isn't the guy. Sometimes the guy that doesn't have the big arm and is the best guy because he gets the ball out on time and it goes to the right spot. So they have to make sure that these quarterbacks really understand the offense, and they have to have multiple of them, because you might go through 2 guys, maybe even 3. What's the chance you're going to have 5 different guys play that position in a season? Now I'm counting Kafensis.
Yeah, like 4+ Kafensis.
Right,
But
right.
yeah, that's not.
That's
a sign of a bad season.
Right.
That's a sign of injury.
You're going to lose games if you have those kinds of injuries at that position. Having an injury at that position is like having 5 other injuries at other,
Sure.
And so you compound it because you get killed at running back with injuries. They had big plans for KJ Hall. They had, Dye they had plans for in the past game. Ulatolotau could have been the guy. So they lose.
So many playmakers.
They lose all. So you can, and not to downplay linemen, but they were deep enough on the offensive line. They could have lost a couple of offensive linemen with no drop off.
And they didn't. That's been the healthiest unit.
And they didn't lose any.
Consistent unit.
The most deep unit we have on the team didn't get hurt. And the units that are so vital to what you do did. So sometimes it's not just the number of injuries, it's at what position.
Yeah.
If you're getting quarterbacks killed, you better have a feature running back. If you're getting feature running backs killed, you better have a quarterback that can carry you. And then they built a whole offense around tight ends because they thought they had 5 really good tight ends. Bushman was the 4th of those. And your feature guy ends up being the 4th guy. Now, I think he would have ended up being the feature guy anyhow. But they had 5 guys. They were going to play a bunch of 2 and 3 tight end sets. And they couldn't. So what changed? He knows what needs to change. The number one thing is they got to be better at quarterback. They have to have more consistency at quarterback. They got to keep people healthy at running back. And then I think they can build an offense around tight ends next year that they're going to be complete mismatches. You get Moroni healthy, who's going to be a game changer. Tukuafu is really, really good and can play every down. He's a 270-pound guy that runs like the wind and has great hands. He's a complete mismatch. Bushman's going to be another 15 pounds heavier, and nobody's going to be able to guard him. And so all of a sudden, maybe the quarterbacks look way better if those guys are all healthy.
Seriously.
Right? And so there's some things that are just going to happen by virtue of getting people healthy, and another year in the system, they're going to make them better. But they have to get better there, and they need to get confident enough in their corners that they can play a little more aggressive defensively. But they have to be better on offense, because part of their play calling on defense is conservative because they're worried that that the offense is going to put them in bad positions. And so they have to be able to play more aggressive, and to do that, they got to be more solid at corner and more confident in their corners. They got to be better at quarterback. And I think the tight end situation is going to improve so much that's going to help tremendously with the offensive production.
Blaine Fowler is on BYU Sports Nation. Those are some of the changes, hopefully, on the field that will happen for BYU going into next year. Let's transition to hoops and finish with this. BYU coming off loss to UT Arlington, where they trailed by 25 at home. Never a good thing. Niagara tonight, 9 Eastern on BYUtv. You're on the call with Dave McCann. What do you think of this matchup with the Purple Eagles?
They're not UT Arlington.
That's the good news. Elijah Bryant, game time decision.
They like to get up and down the floor like UT Arlington does, which is good. And I think that BYU is going to match up defensively better. Now, people are going, oh my goodness, we thought BYU was good. And I go, hey, easy people. They shot horribly. And that's why nobody goes undefeated in college basketball. Duke's going to lose a game they shouldn't lose this year, and maybe even get blown out in a game and you're going to go, how does that happen? Because they just don't shoot it. And BYU didn't shoot it. UT Arlington shot the lights out. And now there's this big gap because UT Arlington's a legit, they maybe are a top 25 team. We're going to see, but they're in that caliber. And they have a big-time NBA guy, Hervey.
Hervey, yeah.
There's 6 NBA scouts there, and I have a couple of them that are really good friends. One that I'm a really good friend with that scouts for the Bulls, and I got talking to him, and he goes, oh, yeah. He's a 6'9" kid that has guard skills. And he said, only question on him is, will he bring it every single time up and down the floor? Like, if he gets a mentality, the killer mentality, he's a really good NBA player. And you could see it. You could see it. And their guard is a great playmaker. And Neil, so that's a very talented UT Arlington team. BYU couldn't have an off shooting night against that team, or they're going to get blown out of the gym. And so they had an off shooting night. They played a really good team, and then it affected both ends of the floor. That's an aberration in my mind for this basketball team. And Niagara's does not have the talent level that UT Arlington has, and BYU's got to find that stroke again and knock down some shots. They'll lose games if they can't make shots.
Seriously. Fun fact, you're on TV 4 times today. twice for BYU Sports Nation, once for After Further Review coming up at 7 Eastern, and then BYU basketball at 9 Eastern. This is the superest Tuesday of all time.
This is Super Duper Tuesday.
It's a super duper
Blaine
Tuesday.
TV.
Hope you guys don't get tired of me. And hopefully we have a lot more fun on
yes.
tonight on the live.
Yes, BYU
game.
won't go 2 for 20 from 3. I don't
No,
think
that's not going to happen.
tonight.
I felt like I might have been able to make one from
Left-handed. Yeah.
the scores table a little closer than they were shooting.